Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to my review for American Sniper, a movie that, oh man, made tons and tons of money. It's a movie I was really looking forward to. I didn't think it was going to make as much money as it did. Definitely not. I don't think anybody could predict that. The movie studios, Clint Eastwood, no one could predict this movie was going to make that much money in its first weekend. It made $90 million in its first weekend. And if you count Martin Luther King Day as the weekend also, because it's a 4-day weekend, then it made $107 million. That's more than stuff like Transformers, The Last Spider-Man, Godzilla, The Last Hobbit. Like hell, it made more than the other Lord of the Rings movies, I think, too, in its first weekend. I highly doubt in the long run, but this movie made a lot of money, and hey, it looked like it was gonna make good money, kind of like Lone Survivor did last year, but I didn't know it was gonna make that much. So there was a lot of hype. There was a lot of hype. Obviously, people were gonna go see this movie. Couldn't wait. I couldn't wait too. I really couldn't. I had to wait 3 days, 3 whole days to see this film after it came out because the freaking theater kept selling out. So, is this Clint Eastwood directed film about the most lethal sniper in U.S. history, Chris Kyle, a good film? Is it worth the hype? Is it worth the money that people have been shelling out? Let's talk about it. The story for American Sniper follows Chris Kyle, played by Bradley Cooper, who of course is the most decorated sniper in U.S. history, like I said. But before he was a sniper, he was just a good old Texan boy. He was a cowboy. He wanted to be a cowboy. He had his cowboy boots, his hat. He rode into rodeo and stuff. He had that southern garb, which I'm not even going to try to do. I do declare. I did it. It was bad. Don't worry. Bradley Cooper does way better than I do. But, so he's just a regular good old Texan boy. He meets with his soon-to-be wife, Taya, in a bar. They hit it off. They have a really good relationship. And, of course, Chris Kyle decides, you know what, man, they're messing with us in this world, man. All the bad guys in the world, they're killing us. They're blowing our stuff up. You know what? I want to be a part of the U.S. Navy SEALs. And he goes, he enlists, and of course he's training. Very strenuous training. They're shouting at him, spraying water on him, making him freeze pretty much. And it's a really, really good scene, I should say, straight up. I'll talk about it a little bit more later. But anyway, he of course becomes a sniper. He is at first a little iffy. Even the guy that's like telling him, shoot and stuff, the guy that's commanding him, he's just like, what are you doing, man? You're not even hitting what you're supposed to hit. And he's just like, yeah, I'm not hitting what I'm supposed to hit because I like to shoot things that are alive, which was a badass scene because then he shoots a snake and he's just like, oh, even the sniper instructor's like, shit, man, this guy's badass. And after that, of course, he takes his first tour, and after that, it's second, third, fourth. He goes on 4 tours in Iraq, and it's just a really, really well done. It's really well done how they do it, because between each tour, you see him with his family, with Sienna Miller. Even during the tours, he's talking to Sienna Miller and stuff. So you actually get a really good family vibe from that. You actually see the relationship, and you actually really like these two together. They're very funny together. They're really likable. You really do believe that they actually love each other. It's really, really, really captivating when they're on screen together or when they're just talking to each other. It's really well done. But when you get into the war scenes, those are great too. The cinematography is beautiful. The action is amazing. Like, it really is. It's very tense, very, very like, oh man, when is something bad gonna happen? It reminded me a lot of The Hurt Locker, where The Hurt Locker is just like, stuff will just randomly explode, just out of nowhere, and someone will be dead that you just followed. You just knew that guy, and he's dead. Like, he's done. He's gone. That's it. You like that guy? He's been in the movie for a little while? No, he's dead now. There's times like that in this movie where you follow a character, a minor character, and maybe you don't know them too much, but you know them enough to actually care about them, and they're dead. Boom, boom, done. They're gone. And it's really, really tragic. It is. It's a very, very well done movie with very tense action, great sound mixing. I mean, the guns sound really good. If you saw this in IMAX, I envy you, because it's probably amazing in IMAX. I didn't, though. I saw it in a local crappy theater. But yeah, the story, the action, the cinematography, oh man, the acting, oh man. I'll talk about that in a second, but still, the story, all that stuff is great in this movie. It really is. It's top of the notch. Top notch. I do declare. Look at this. This movie's so good to me, I actually wrote down notes. Look at that. I mean, they're kind of crappy notes. It's more like outlines, but still, whatever. I wrote down stuff for this review so I can make sure I talk about what I have to talk about. And the first thing I wrote down here is Bradley Cooper. He is oh my God. First of all, I watched some Chris Kyle interviews and ways he talks and stuff, and Bradley Cooper not only nails it, but he nails the look. He looks like Chris Kyle. He's buffed up. He's bigger. Oh man, that fool is big. If you look at something like Wedding Crashers that came out a few years ago, and hell, even if you look at American Hustle or even Silver Linings Playbook, and then you look at this movie, you won't believe it's the same guy. You will not believe it's Bradley Cooper. He is fantastic in this. He completely transformed himself, and he is not only a likable guy, but he's very serious when he wants to be. He could be very, very disturbed at times too, and hell, he could be very cold-hearted, but also very loving. Like I said before, there's times where he's just like, I can't pull the trigger, and sometimes where he pulls the trigger and he doesn't really even show any reaction. And there's sometimes where he pulls that trigger and it's like, oh man, are you sure you don't want to like feel bad about that? Because that was pretty bad. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you did the right thing in the long run, but it was still a bad little thing you had to do. But he is amazing in this, and I hope he does. All right, I love Benedict Cumberbatch in The Imitation Game, and it's really up to him and Bradley Cooper for the Oscars, and I'm rooting for either one. So for me, I thought Benedict Cumberbatch was better in Imitation Game, but Bradley Cooper was amazing too. So either one, I hope one of them wins. You know. Don't get me wrong, everybody else was great in their movies and stuff, but these two performances are easily the best. And don't get me wrong, Sienna Miller is great in this. And hell, the supporting cast, all of the comrades in arms that Chris Kyle meets along the way, they're all really likable, really good actors. They're all great. Sienna Miller has some really good scenes. There's one scene that you saw in the commercials that probably made you really want to see this film, where she's talking to Chris Kyle on the phone during, the Iraq War, where he's on, I think, his second tour, and stuff just starts happening. Stuff blowing up and stuff, and she's just listening to this thinking that her husband's dead. Like, because she doesn't know. And it's a really, really, really good scene, and she's great in that. So she's almost as good as Bradley Cooper, but because Bradley Cooper is the main focus, he gets a little bit more to do. He gets a little bit more emotion too at times too. Even though she cries a lot in this film, there's times where Bradley Cooper just looks at the camera and you could just tell he's really distraught about something, or he's just not feeling anything about this scene, whatever. He's great in this film. Like I said, the action is very well shot. I wrote that down here too. The cinematography is fantastic, but do not get me wrong, you're not going to be looking at beautiful jungles or something. You're going to be looking at crappy, dirty, broken down, bullet hole ridden, explosion filled towns, pretty much, even some deserted ones. So don't get me wrong, you're not going to be looking at some beautiful scenes. The cinematography is just very well done. That's why I think it's beautiful. And the family element is amazing here. I really have to admit, like, towards the end where, there's no spoiler here, after his fourth tour, and it's just him trying to recoup and get back into being a family man, it is easily the best part of the film. The last, 20 minutes of this film is the best part of the film. And I wish they spent a little bit more time on stuff like that, where he's trying to become a family man again. And that's actually also kind of a negative. It's a positive, but also a negative, because the positive, what there is great, but it's a negative because I wanted more. I wanted at least 10 more minutes of him being a family man, seeing more of his kids. His kids you barely see. They pretty much get one scene each. And hell, I don't even think the little girl speaks once. Maybe she says a couple things here and there, but she doesn't really speak at all. And it's weird that they got the kid from Iron Man 3 to play his son if he's not even going to be really in it at all. Weird. I think that was the kid. Yeah, I might be wrong. Actually, I'm probably wrong. But they got a child actor that has definitely been in movies before. Weird that they got him for that, for pretty much one scene. And I really have a problem with one scene, and everybody's talking about it. The fake baby. There's a baby in this that's supposed to be it's actually two babies. It's one for the daughter, one for the son when they're babies. Both babies are obviously fake, kind of take you out of the moment. But to be honest, if I didn't hear about the fake baby before I saw the movie, most likely I wouldn't have even noticed myself. But because I knew, all right, there's going to be a baby in there, it's going to be fake, there it is. That's the fake baby. There's even times where you actually see a real baby, like a real baby moving and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. And then fake baby. Like, what? Why the fake baby? It looked hilarious. It really did. And there was one scene where it's supposed to be really emotional. I just couldn't get over the fact that baby's just not moving. It's not breathing. It's not moving. There's even times where Bradley Cooper has to move his thumb up on the baby's, hand just to make it look like it's moving a little bit. It's really bad. And even though I like a lot of the the minor characters in the film, you don't get enough of them. And I say characters in movie terms, they are actually real people. They're actually based on real people. And you don't get enough of them. Like, there's one, Kyle Gallner, who plays I guess the guard of the sniper, the guy that stays with the sniper, so no one like comes up behind him and kills him. And at first, he was there. He was kind of like the comedic hijinks of the film. He was like just cracking jokes and stuff. But then he disappears from the film and he's gone completely. And I never got a sense of who that guy was. And they even got a pretty decent actor, Kyle Gallner. I think he's actually a good actor. And he's kind of gone from the film. And it's kind of the same for all the other characters, but some of them are gone for a good reason. Like, a couple of them get shot in the face or something, And some of them are actually really, really emotional, I will admit. But I would have liked to see more of them. So that's pretty much all the negatives and positives I really have about this film. It's a great movie. It really is. Clint Eastwood did a great job directing. Bradley Cooper is fantastic in this. The action is tense. The other actors, including Sienna Miller, are great. I really love this film, and I have to say this, I teared up at the end. I really did. And I say this a lot, like, oh, I teared up, and I just couldn't hold back the tears and stuff. But this one, really, I was having a hard time. Everybody else in the theater was, too. I could hear sniffles and shit. I don't do that sniffle stuff. I was just like, I just did a sniffle. Shit, I guess I lied. But I was just like, just trying to hold back the tears. Don't get back in there. Like, it was really touching. It was really well done, and it's a great movie. I think it is. There's problems, sure, but I still really loved it. I'm gonna give it a 36 out of a 40. I think it's a highly, highly well made film. Clint Eastwood's best in a very long time, and I absolutely loved it. So there you go. Thank you, and yeah, until next time, I'm Gore the Movie God. Goodbye.